The 866th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Get up to $1,000 deposit match when you sign up at UnderdogFantasy.com using promo code MMA SGPN.
Howdy ho, Degenerinos. Welcome to episode 866 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Dedicated to my dog, Indy, who's come to join me on our podcast here today, aka Indy Jones, aka Baby Horse. Who am I? I am Tony Mustard, aka Jeff Fox.
It's not less funny the second time.
Nope, it's not. That's Gumby Vreeland. Gumby's the one who tipped me off that Tony Mustard is a real person whose name I have stolen. And his nickname is Oosh, which makes it even better. OOSH, which I guess is a sound. Is that the sound?
Oosh.
Does he
it's
miss
like what I say when you say something like
Right.
vaguely political that I don't want to comment on.
Yes, or a bad dad joke. It's true.
Yeah.
Or is it the sound that does he miss a lot of punches? Is that the sound of him missing punches?
Sound of getting punched in the stomach.
Oh, that's true. That would be like when in Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Does he have a Band-Aid on his belly button? Is what we need to know, because that is a giveaway that you don't want to be punched in the stomach. Tony Mustard's a heavyweight out of England. He fights for TFT MMA Team Fish Tank MMA is what that is. It just gets better.
Oh, is that the one with the logo that's the same as the Fighting Hellfish from the Simpsons?
It is, yes.
Yeah, I know that fight team.
It's getting better and better. The deeper you dive into this, guy, it's better and better. But what I want to know is why did Gumby stumble across Tony Mustard? This is just what he does in his spare time, right? Tapology.
Yeah, I just if you've ever been into a Wikipedia like wormhole and where we've been spending hours on Wikipedia and you've just clicked links until you got somewhere you never expected to be. That's me, except with Tapology.
Well, there's so much goodness there. There's so many amazing thumbnail pictures of fighters. Like there's some great thumbnails.
Well, they let fighters upload their own thumbnails, which I found out way later in life than I needed to. But it's even better when you know that.
Yeah, and then like you can just stumble across the greatest nicknames or the greatest names like Oosh, Tony Mustard. So we're not talking about him today. Maybe someday. Does he still fight this Tony Mustard? Do we care?
I have no idea. I know Christian Soda still fights.
He died. Yes, I'm no longer Christian Soda. You guys do your own research, as people like to say, on Tony Mustard. We're off to Nashville today, Music City, UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Teixeira. Have you ever been to Nashville, Gumby?
I think I've passed through Nashville. Yeah. I haven't really made a stop there, and I was like a kid. So
yeah, well, you're one up on me. I don't think I've even passed through it, at least not that I remember. The UFC is more than passing through it. They are setting up, putting their stakes down this coming Saturday for UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Teixeira. Yesterday was all about the prelims. A lot of crazy wide lines yesterday, and
it doesn't stop here.
No.
It continues to be very, very, very weird in this fight card.
Yeah. Not a heck of a lot of consensus yesterday. Not surprisingly, Gumby, but I guess it is a bit surprising. I have a reputation of not being massive on dogs, but I hit more than my fair share of dogs. But yeah, Gumby was in on more dogs yesterday than I was, even though I snuck one big one by that you didn't pick. So anyhow, listen to yesterday's episode for our other prelim picks or watch it. Our prelim episodes actually get more views than main cards, so I probably don't have to tell people. It's up an
extra day. Yes. It's got an extra day, so that's something.
It should be the opposite. I should tell people on the prelims to watch the main card. But anyhow, before we dive into your winning picks, a reminder, you can listen to every episode on this podcast network, not just MMA, but everything, by subscribing to the free SGPN feed. So find SGPN wherever fine podcasts are distributed. All right, we're going to the Bridgestone Arena, Nashville, Tennessee. We did 6 fights yesterday, 6 fights today. 6 p.m. was the start time for the prelims, so we're probably talking 9, I would say, for the main card. They don't do PFL pacing on this here fight card. So let's break down the main card. Any overall thoughts on the main card, or we just want to dive into it?
Just weird as hell again in terms of odds. I mean, I actually think the matchmaking on this fight card is smart. It made me be like, like more than once. And I think that's a good sign of a decent fight card.
And we got 2 heavyweights and two heavyweight fights, and a former heavyweight dropping down. So lots of fun. That former heavyweight dropping down would be Junior Tafa from Australia. He's fighting Tokkos from the UK. aka the guy that you stomp on in Mario, I think is what I called him. He sounds like one of those Mario creatures that you have to crush.
Oh, you beat the Tuco Tobo?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're fighting at 205. Tafa, I don't think you have to worry about him making weight. Have you seen pictures of him? He looks much
he looks
better shape.
ripped. Yeah,
yep.
he looks like he looks like a light heavyweight, not a light heavyweight who ate too much.
Amazing what you can do if you're a professional athlete and you actually decide to get in shape. Crazy. All right, I'll tell you about Tokkos first. 10-5, 6 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, submitted once. 0-2 in the UFC. He's before hitting in the UFC, he had won 3 straight fights. He went 0-1 road to UFC. Do you remember who he lost to, Gumby?
Yang.
Correct. That's a good loss. Welter region championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get our shirt, get our merch. sportsgamingpockets.com/store. 0-2 in Bellator, an inch height, an inch reach over Tafa. He's got better grappling stats than Tafa. I don't think that'll matter though. He's outstruck his opponents in the UFC and the road. No, he's been outstruck. Excuse me. In the 3 fights we have stats for by 2.48 strikes per minute plus 150. The juggernaut Tafa, 6-3 with 6 knockouts. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. 2-3 in the UFC. He's 1-2 over his last 3, 2-3 over his last 5. TKO win in his last bout. Used to fight at 265 as mentioned. 101 as a boxer, 23-5 as a pro kickboxer, 6 years younger than Tokkos, better striking stats, more active landing strikes. He's outstruck his points by 0.52 strikes per minute, minus 163. Give me Tafa here. Definitely more confidence now that I saw him. It looks like he actually lost weight in a good way. He's not just dumping a whole bunch of weight last minute here. Tokkos has lost anytime he's fought at, I think it was the Ben Folks podcast, at least, said anytime he's fought in any promotion that you've heard of, he's lost.
That's not true. He beat Ty Flores in CFFC. Ty Flores is like a beast in PFL now.
That's true. Well, PFL, that's true. And yeah, I'm picking Tafa. I think Tafa's going to knock him out. I have faith in his power moving down. And if he's going to win via knockout. So if you don't like this line, take him via knockout.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Tokkos. Yeah, slight underdog here. I actually, again, speaking of the odds on this fight card, I kind of expected him to be a bigger underdog. He's 0-3 in the UFC, which is true. Or 0-2 and 0-1 in road.
Right.
But the fights were against pretty decent competition, right? Zhang Ming Yang, Omar Sy, while Omar Sy kind of put up a stinker against Alonzo Menefield, he's still pretty damn good. But the bottom line is he hit his takedown on Zhang Ming Yang, the only one he hit before he was knocked out. And granted, yeah, he was knocked out, but look at any loss that Tafa has, and it's people grappling him. It's people taking him down and beating him up on the mat. And Tokkos has the takedowns. I mentioned his fight with Ty Flores. Ty Flores, excellent wrestler, great top control, was actually out wrestled by Tuco Tokkos in that fight. Tokkos took it to him instead in terms of the grappling. I think Tuco Tokkos has just sort of been waiting on a matchup like this. And even if you want to go further back with Junior Tafa, when he was fighting on the regional scene, man, I wish I could remember the name of the guy, but he fought this Scandinavian dude with a 6-10 record or something like that. And I told everybody, I picked the underdog at plus 700 to beat him. And the guy out wrestled him for the first 3 minutes of the fight. And then the fight got stood up and he took one punch and got knocked out. This could happen here too. But also the thing is, Tuco Tokkos is more dynamic on the mat. When they announce fighters at the beginning of the fight, Tuco Tokkos regularly says he's a jiu-jitsu specialist from, wherever the hell he's from. But that's a bad news for a guy like Junior Tafa, who, first of all, is not going to have a big size advantage, right? I know he's coming down from heavyweight, but this is not a big, strong dude. This is a guy who had to get lean to make the weight class and had just kind of been getting along with being a big sloppy power puncher like his brother is. I think the grappling is kind of underrated here. I'm going to go Tuco Tokkos.
All right, we still can't agree on anything, but
we're having a tough time. I think it's going to keep up in this fight card.
Yeah,
too.
Well, it's we said both episodes, weird odds, and closer matchups than they should be. So basically, it's if you find value in the dog, then go for it. So we're going to real heavyweights now. Vitor, we're not. What am I saying? Vitor Petrino. He's actually moving up to
heavyweight.
Yeah, he swapped. They took places with Junior Tafa. He's fighting Austen Lane, who's on Top Turtle this week. He's from the United States of America.
Love him on the mic. The dude's great on the mic.
He's very good, very good. After all the years in NFL and all those knockouts in MMA, he still can talk good. So maybe,
he's also a radio host though, who talks about. He's a pro football radio host in Florida. So.
Yep, good guy. Good interview if you haven't listened already. Top turtle. All right, we're going to tell you about him first. Austen Lane, 13-6 with 1 no contest, 11 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out 6 times. Doesn't really have the chin for this. 1-3 with 1 no contest in the UFC. 1-3 over his last 4. Got knocked out in his last fight because that's how he loses. 1-1 in Contender Series. You remember who? Nah, we don't want to talk about who beat him.
I do remember who beat him.
Another football player. Walter Region Championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get a shirt, get a merch, sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. 4 inches taller, 3 inches of reach over Petrino. Better striking stats, more active lighting strikes than Petrino. He's outstruck his opponents in the UFC by 0.57 strikes per minute. He can outstrike people, but he can't really eat a punch. Plus 460. A cow. Do we ever figure out what that means? AO means big or large, but he's big ick. Is that what it is?
Well, is it? Didn't we do? Wasn't NCO a nickname on the LFA card this week that we talked about? Was that Indian?
Yeah, it was Indio. This is
Indio. That's
ICAO. Yeah. We'll say Big Ick is what he is.
Yeah, Big Ick.
11-2, 7 knockouts, 1 submission. Knocked out once, submitted once. 4-2 in the UFC. Both of his 2 career losses have come in his last 2 fights, and they both have been via finish. I think he fought once at heavyweight before, but predominantly he was light heavyweight. He's 10 years younger than Lane because he didn't play in the NFL for years and years before this. Better grappling stats than Lane. He's outstruck his opponents in the UFC by 0.12 strikes per minute. Mine is 649. We get a lot of 649 numbers on this here podcast. All right, Gumby.
So this is one of those ones where I stared at it for a while and was like,
me too.
Man, do I... The value is on the Lane side. I'm going to say that here, but I'm going to take Petrino. The bottom line for me when I broke this one down is I went back and I watched a bunch of the Austen Lane losses. And you're right. He can't take a punch, but it's the reason he can't take a punch why I'm on Petrino here. And that's just that, like, his chin's up. Like, a lot of times he's boxing from his shoulders, not, from his face. And when you box from that low point, you're susceptible to being knocked out. And we've seen it a lot of times with dudes who are, what is he, 6'6"? We've seen it with a lot of dudes who are 6'6". It's just that, like, on the regional scene, he's got 11 knockouts. And he went in there and knocked out everybody he was up against because he's taller. A regional level heavyweight's not going to find that chin. And now that he's up against, was it Justin Tafa who knocked him out? And, Mario Pinto. And, these aren't even really the top guys in the division, but they can crack. And if they can crack and your chin is exposed, then they can really crack, right? And so, that's the problem for me. I'm also just going to add in here, his only win in the UFC was with his grappling, right? Was he decided to grapple a guy who, Rebellis Despaigne, who, luckily is in karate combat for him now. He didn't.
Yeah, it's perfect for him.
Didn't belong in MMA, but he just wrestled him, right? And I don't think he's the better wrestler here, and if I was going to come up with a path to victory and what I was trying to convince myself so I could pick Lane I was like, look, Lane is going to be so much taller. He's going to be so much longer. Has Petrino dealt with that? And the answer is probably not. But it's also not like Lane has used that length well in the past. As I just mentioned, he got knocked out by Justin Tafa. Justin Tafa's 2 inches shorter than
Mark
than we're looking at with Petrino here, and 3.5 inches of reach. He's fighting a guy who's longer than Tafa and taller than Tafa. So, I think Petrino hits one of those overhand rights here. And as much as I like Austen Lane, I'm going to pick against him here.
I am shockingly, I'm taking a stab at the dog.
I kind of felt like you were because you didn't respond after I said I was taking Petrino, and usually you'd be like, "Yeah, obviously."
No, when we talked about this off air, a few days ago, I'm like, well, too bad Lane's not good at fighting. I still don't think he's good at fighting. I just think I think
he's good at fighting. He's just not good at defensively fighting.
It's true.
Offensively, he's very good. His boxing is sharp.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm thinking he's going to crack Petrino first. I'm hoping the size and the athleticism is going to carry him through. It's not that Petrino is a world beater and he's getting beat. He's getting it finished, not just finished recently. So I think I'm not obviously staking my mortgage on it, but I think Lane, the value is there at plus 460. So let's go with it, Gumby. All right, we haven't agreed on anything yet, but we do agree on Circa Million and Circa Survivor. Think you know ball? Then you have to enter Circa's football contest with $21 million in guaranteed prizes. There's no rake, so if entries go above the guarantee, all extra money will go to the prize pool. Circa Million, you pick 5 teams against the spread each week, or go for the ultimate sweat in Circa Survivor. There's even the Circa Grandissimo $100,000 Survivor contest. You must register in person at Circa Sportsbook in Nevada. Shucks, you have to go to Las Vegas, but You don't have to stay in Las Vegas. You can sign up there, sign up in Nevada, and then you can play from anywhere with the help of SGPN's official proxy. So go to footballcontest.com and use promo code SGP to get $50 off your proxy fees. And we're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet in every sport, including MLB, WNBA, golf, and of course, football futures. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations, easy deposit, and lightning fast payouts using crypto. All the lines we're talking about right now, UFC lines, are of course at MyBookie.ag. And when you do head to MyBookie.ag, use our code to sign up, MMASGPN. That way you get 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code MMASGPN. All right, are we going to agree on this one? Closer odds, at the very least. This could be a fun fight because Nate Landwehr is in it. 145, Nate Landwehr, United States.
Charrière is fun too.
He very, very much is. Yep.
Do you have the correct nickname for Morgan Charrière?
Morgan Charrière, the last pirate?
No.
Or you have a new one? He's got a new
one? I have an old.
An old one. Oh, I think you told me this before. He's from France, but I can't remember what it is.
The French Solomon Renfro, remember?
Oh, right, yes. Our nickname. You're right. Not official. That's why it's not listed anywhere. It should be. All right. Let's break down Nate, the Train Landwehr, former friend of Top Turtle, right? At least once?
Yeah.
Maybe twice?
Yeah. Have I ever told you about the weird interview he did?
With you?
Yeah. For some reason, it was back when I didn't do any video interviews, but he insisted on turning the video on. And his face was just like lit up with like a dim red light in a dark room. I think he was
intimidate you.
I think he was in a training room and like the clock was still on. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen like in an MMA training room, like there's usually like a red clock. I think the clock was still on and the lights were out in the training room, like after training, but it was real creepy.
or he's getting some red light therapy. Oh, interesting. Yes. I think I do remember that now. Or maybe it was a train light, a train barely down on him. All right. Nate the Train Landwehr is 18-6, 9 knockouts, 2 submissions, knocked out 3 times, submitted once, 5-4 in the UFC, loss over his last 3, 4-2 over his last 6. Got TKO'd in his last fight, multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get a shirt, get a merch, sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. 2012 Pro MMA debut, niche height, 3 inches reach over Charrière, more active lighting strikes. He's been outstruck in the UFC, but just barely, 0.18 strikes per minute in the negative, plus 210. The last pirate, Morgan Charrière, 20-11-1. 12 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been submitted once. Very durable. 2-2 in the UFC. Loss over his last 3. 5-2 over his last 7. Cage Warriors champion, formerly. Regional champ, formerly as well. Used to fight at 155. 2014 Pro MMA debut. 1-0 in a custom rules fight. 7 years younger than Landwehr. Better grappling stats than Landwehr. He's been outstruck in the UFC by 0.69 strikes per minute, minus 240. Charrière, he's got to be my pick here. He's just better all around. He's fought better people. I think he's a better fighter all around.
I don't think he's fought better people. Has he?
Yeah. When you go back to his Cage Warriors days.
Oh, because he fought Paul Hughes and he fought the Vucenic.
Right.
That's true. If you include those, because I mean, Landwehr did fight Ludovic Klein and he fought David Odama, and actually he beat both of those guys too, if I'm not mistaken, right? He beat he lost to the new and improved Do Hoo Choi, who's back and now knows judo.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sherry's a pick, younger fighter. I hope he grapples because I think Landwehr could get the better of him on the feet, but the last pirate or the French Solomon Renfrew is my pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Charrière too. Despite you maybe thinking I was pump faking you there by giving some credence.
You did pump fake me
to the background of Landwehr. This is another one where I stared at the odds and I was like, is Landwehr worth 210? And then eventually I said no. And the big piece for me was how bad he looked against Do Hoo Choi. And I don't know if that means Choi was really good or he was really bad, but it also looked like he's older now, and it looks like his cardio is starting to give up on him. And one thing you can say about Charrière is that dude is muscle bound and somehow still has amazing cardio, right? Like he's the antithesis to the Joe Rogan claim that muscles use too much oxygen. And so for me, I think that's a piece there. I think you're right on the feet. Maybe he could catch him if you were on the Nate Landwehr side, but the technical striking of Charrière is better. He gets in and out of range much better. Landwehr's a guy who does a lot of covering up by touching his head. You know what I mean by that? He doesn't bring his hands up or to the side of his face. Sometimes he just puts them on top of his head. And Charrière is totally the type of guy who's just going to rip hooks to the side and hurt him that way, or throw to the body. He throws to the body enough that could hurt him. So I think Charrière does a better job of establishing range, getting in and out of range. I think he covers up better. And then, like you said, I think the wrestling could be a big piece of Charrière's game here. if not to dominate position and win that way, than to tire him out, right? Like that's the other avenue here. You could just tire him out. So yeah, give me Morgan Charrière.
Yeah, Landwehr is even older than Gumby, so he's an old man. So look up there. Yep. All right. If that's not the fight of the night, then this featherweight fight probably
this is going to be sick.
Be the fight
this fight's going to freaking rule.
Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia, U.S. versus U.S. Yeah, I can't see how this one. I guess if it ends early, which normally
I mean,
doesn't happen.
Didn't we hang on? Pump the brakes just a tiny bit too, because didn't we also say I can't imagine Calvin Kattar versus Yusuf Zalal would suck?
Yeah,
and that sucked terribly.
Yeah, maybe Calvin Kattar, maybe that's he's in the second part of his career. We'll see. Let's tell you about him first. The Boston finisher is 23-9, 11 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. He is, when you look up durable in the dictionary, that his face is there. His beat up face is there. 7-7 in the UFC. He's lost 4 straight fights. Only because his name's Calvin Kattar is the only reason he's probably still around in the UFC. He's got enough goodwill at this point. 1-5 over his last 6. He's not won since January 2022. Used to fight at 155, 2007 pro MMA debut. He's been outstruck by 2.02 strikes per minute in the UFC. But he doesn't get finished regardless. Plus 120. Mean Machine, Steve Garcia, 17-5 with 14 knockouts. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. 6-2 in the UFC. He's won 5 straight. 6-2 over his last 8. 5 straight wins have all come via knockout or TKO. Gumby says on Top Turtle when he interviews him, he's heading up into record territory if he keeps finishing people. He's got the record for featherweights, right? For most
consecutive knockouts by a featherweight belongs to Steve Garcia in a division that has Conor McGregor in it.
Yep. Yeah, he's only got the big boys ahead of him now, big weight classes. Used to fight at 135. He has not lost since June 2022. He's not used to fight at 135 and 155. He went 1-0 in Contender Series. Missed weight before at bantamweight, but he's up at featherweight now, so he should be good. 5-2 in Bellator. 2013 pro MMA debut, an inch height, 3 inches reach, 4 years younger than Kattar. Better striking stats, better grappling stats, more active landing strikes than Kattar, and he's outstruck his opponents by 2.7 strikes per minute, minus 135. This one's closer than I thought, but you were surprised that Garcia was a favorite. I think you.
I am, yeah, and it's not, it's got to be right the 5-0 run versus the 0-4 run, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's probably why it's lined that way. But like when you look at who they fought too, like the resumes are way different. You mentioned, I can't believe that Calvin Kattar still has a job. I mean, you fought the Aljamain Sterling and Max Holloway and like that Josh Emmett fight. I don't even think he lost that fight to Josh Emmett, but Emmett got the nod. So like we have a whole bunch of like tough fights he's been in, and Steve Garcia has not fought those guys, right? Steve Garcia fought, Melky Costa, and no shame on the guys he's knocking out. You can only knock out the guy that's in front of you. But like, I think that's why the line is so close despite those records. I actually thought it was I thought you could just basically flip flop these odds. I thought you could see him on just the opposite sides.
Yeah.
With that being said, I'm still going to take Chepe last fight. I'm still going to take Steve Garcia. I think we're seeing Calvin Kattar get a little slower. In the past, I'd probably make an argument that he would use enough of his wrestling that he could win this, because that's like how he won his last fight via wrestling. I don't know if you remember that. He beat Giga Chikadze. Easy for me to say. Yep. In his last victory, and it was by out wrestling a little bit. I don't even think he can do that against Garcia. Garcia's kind of a sneaky good wrestler, especially defensively. Does a good job of forcing people to stand and trade with him. If you go back, like he actually won one of his fights with like ground and pound early in his UFC stint too, with his own wrestling. So like, he's got that. He's clearly a good power puncher. He's kept himself safe on the feet in his last 5 fights. I mean, like, he's been in there with guys who are dangerous. I know Calvin Kattar is dangerous too, but I'm still going to go Steve Garcia.
Yeah, I'm taking Garcia as well. I like the line. Younger guy on the run, can really crack. But as he said, grappling, he can grapple as well. You can't really trust Kattar at this point. And someday he's going to get knocked out too. I know he's been knocked out technically once before, but once his chin's gone, then it's bad news. I'm not predicting this is going to be the fight, but I am predicting Garcia is going to win. All right, co-main event. Stephen Thompson, U.S. Gabirel Bonfim. He's the good Bonfim brother, right? Fighting at 170.
This is the Bonfim I prefer. Yes. My preferred Bonfim.
Preferred Bonfim. There's a good name. Wonderboy Thompson is 17-8-1 with 8 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out twice, submitted once. 12-8-1 in the UFC. He has lost 2 straight. 1-4 over his last 5. 3-6 over his last 9. His past 2 losses have both come via finish. He's not won since December 2022. 2010 pro MMA debut. 20-0 with 1 no contest in kickboxing. 3 inches of reach over Bonfim. He's outstruck his opponents by 1.09 strikes per minute. He's at plus 333. Maratina. So he's little hammer, big hammer.
Ina is small.
Yes, little hammer. 17-1, 3 knockouts, 13 submissions. He's been knocked out once. 4-1 in the UFC. He's won 2 straight, including his last bout via submission. 1-0 Contender Series, LFA champion. Used to fight at 135 and 155. 2014 pro MMA debut. Is an inch taller than Thompson, 14 years younger, more active landing strikes, better grappling stats. He's outstruck his opponents by 1.42 strikes per minute, minus 400. Yeah, bye-bye, Stephen Thompson. Doesn't have it anymore. Bonfim could beat him on the feet, but more than likely he's just going to take him down, which is an easy path to victory here for him. And I can see him possibly finishing Thompson on the ground.
Well, and that's it too. It's like that's how Wonderboy's losing right now. It's not that Wonderboy doesn't have it. Wonderboy can still strike with you. Wonderboy doesn't have takedown defense anymore. And when you've looked at, he's lost 4 out of his last 5, and that lone win is against Kevin Holland. And Kevin Holland's not going to take you down either, right? He might hit you with a Darce choke when you shoot on him, but he's not going to take you down either. And then all the other guys are dudes with good wrestling. It's Bilal Muhammad, it's Gilbert Burns, it's it's those level of guys that are taking him down. And is Gabriel Bonfim Gilbert Burns? Maybe not, but I think he's got enough wrestling. And I think that's all he really needs in this fight. So yeah, give me Gabriel Bonfim.
All right, we're both in on the Bonfim, the preferred Bonfim. All right, before we get to our main event of the evening, Underdog Fantasy Time. Underdog Best Ball Mania is happening all summer long, giving away $15 million in prizes, including $2 million to first place. No waiver wire, no arguments about trades. Best Ball is the best way to play fantasy football. And Underdog also is a great place to play Pick'em. Gumby has a play for you right now, I bet.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with baseball today. I'm going to take the higher than, get this name right here, 42-year-old Charlie Morton strikeouts.
Uncle.
Yeah, he looked terrible early in the year. He's really settled in his last 3 games. He's actually had 7 strikeouts in 2 of his last 3. So let's take the higher than in Charlie Morton's strikeouts.
All right, we're fading the old guys in UFC, but we're diving in baseball. Sign up with our promo code MMA SGPN. To claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. And you've heard us talk about Rhythm before. That's RITHMM. And they just dropped a game-changing feature called Power Trends. These are AI-detected patterns where Rhythm's model has consistently won and has a high ROI. Think a strikeout prop that wins 59% of the time when the line and win probability hit a certain range. Power Trends are updated daily and exclusive to Rhythm. No touts, no noise, just clean, data-backed bets. Download the Rhythm app. Check out Power Trends and start betting smarter. We will be. Was Uncle Charlie, was that a power trend?
Of course it was. Yeah, I was looking at fading the Orioles at all that day, but before I made any of my plays, I popped into the Rhythm app and they were like, hey, hold on a second here. Charlie Morton's actually good again. And, it reminded me, hey, maybe don't fade the Orioles and also check out a strikeout prop.
Yeah, the Orioles are kind of doing better now, but
yeah, they still kind of suck.
But they still kind of suck. Well, they shouldn't, but they do. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, RITHMM. All right, main event. Heavyweights, Derrick Lewis. He'll always be a main event worthy fighter versus Taillison Teixeira from Brazil, Brazil, 5-minute round, at 265. The Black Beast, Derrick Lewis, is 28-12 with 1 no contest, 23 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out 7 times, submitted twice. 19-10 in the UFC. Win over his last 3, 2-4 over his last 6. He got TKO'd, or 1 via TKO, in his last bout. That was back in May 2024. He's getting old because he used to be fighting, every other week, it seemed. But yeah.
Yeah, he'd fight whenever you needed him to.
Yep. Out of action now for a bit. Regional champion, or he made enough money, I guess, not just age here. 2010 pro MMA debut. He's the guy with a plus 0.0 strike differential somehow. But still, I'd rather... I think it's in his best interest to hit an opponent as often as they hit himself. I think he can trade with anyone out there. Better grappling stats than Teixeira, which is surprising. Plus 210. I watched the compilation of Derrick Lewis just getting up the other day, which is great.
It's one of my favorite things to watch.
Derrick Lewis gets taken down. A guy tries to do some jiu-jitsu. He just stands up. He gets tired of it. Teixeira, 8-0, 7 knockouts, 1 submission. So he's finished everyone. 1-0 in the UFC, 1-0 in Contender Series, 1-0 in pro kickboxing. 4 inches height, 4 inches reach over Lewis, 14 years younger. Better striking stats, 6 times more active landing strikes. He's outstruck his opponents on the 2 fights we have stats for by 7.11 strikes per minute. He's at minus 245. You get to finish us off this time? Or me?
Yeah.
You.
Yeah, because I'm evens on this one.
Yep.
Derrick Lewis. Give me all
me
the
too.
Derrick Lewis. Yeah,
me too.
I'm really glad you're on my side, by the way.
Yep.
But
we're always on the Derrick Lewis side, it seems.
And here's the thing. It's like, look, if you gave me 3 more Taillison Teixeira fights, right, before he got to the Derrick Lewis level,
Yes.
you know, you had him fight Martin Buday. Let's go Martin Buday. Like, if he had beaten Martin Buday, sign me up. He fought 30 seconds in the UFC and is getting a main event spot against Derrick Lewis. And, you know, he might be everything people are saying he is. He might be what a guy who's getting a Derrick Lewis main event is supposed to be. But the fact of the matter is he's fought less than a round in the last year and a half.
Yep.
You know, when you put it all together, this dude has not ever been outside of the first round. And look, Derrick Lewis is not what he used to be, but are we really sitting here and saying Derrick Lewis is not a durable guy? Yeah. Derrick Lewis gets hit in the head with 2x4s and keeps moving forward and like puts together damn good fights. You know, I remember him getting kicked in the stomach and being all messed up for a couple rounds. And then he just said he had to poop and he finished that fight with knockout. You know, Alexander Volkov took it to him for 2.5 rounds. And Derrick Lewis has still got the knockout here. So all I'm saying is if he gets outside of the first round here, what has Taillison Teixeira got for him in the second? I don't know the answer. I don't know that there's anything he's got for him in the second round. And then when you add to that on top of it too, that like Taillison Teixeira's striking defense isn't great. He's never really needed to have any because again, we talked about this with Austen Lane, right? Austen Lane, a big, tall dude, not used to having to play defense at all. Taillison Teixeira is kind of in that same boat. He's a big, tall heavyweight who is not used to being chin-checked because he's never fought a guy who can really get in on side of him. Derrick Lewis, for whatever he is, and he's an anomaly, has the ability to do that. So I'm going to go with Derrick Lewis. I think he finds the knockout here, and at 2-1, definitely worth the play.
Yep, as I said, Lewis is my pick as well. Too much too soon for Teixeira, hopefully, for our sake. He's still...
And for Derrick Lewis' sake. Who doesn't want to see that dude keep throwing down?
Exactly. Yep, Lewis is the pick. All right, let's give you a recap, and then we'll get you some more plays here. We both got Lewis, both have Bonfim, we both have Garcia. So we link... Oh, both have Charrière, so we linked up there. He's got Petrino, I have Lane. He has Tafa, I have Tokkos. All right, lightning round, Zap, Bam, Boom. Not lightning round. I like saying Zap, Bam, Boom, Pow, I think. Yeah. This is locks, dogs, props, and a Hungry Man Jong of some sort. Your turn this week, I think, to start off for your lock.
Sure. I had to get creative here because pretty much any of the favorites I like are like nail biters. You know, like I like Morgan Charrière, but I don't like Morgan Charrière enough to say he's my lock of the week because I think Landwehr is crazy and can beat people when you're not expecting. So I had to get creative. What I'm going to do for my lock of the week is I'm going to take a spread. I'm going to take Gabirel Bonfim minus 3.5 points on the judges' scorecards. And the reason I like that one, it's negative 150. The reason I like that is you get a Gabirel Bonfim 30-27. And if he wrestles, he should 30-27 Wonder Boy, right? You know, as long as, you know, 2 judges give him 30-27s, we should be safe on that one. And then in addition to that too, you're safe if he winds up submitting him, right? Like if he winds up taking him down and beating him up on the mat, he's safe there too. So I like Gabirel Bonfim minus 3.5. All
right. Getting fancy on us.
Hey, do you want me to tell you yours?
Okay, go ahead.
You like Steve Garcia.
I do.
It's a great line.
Great number against Calvin Kattar, skating Calvin Kattar. I just told you why a few minutes ago why I like it. So there you go.
And both of our dogs, I have to imagine, is Derrick Lewis.
No, it was going to be.
Oh, mine's going to be Derrick Lewis.
Yeah, Derrick Lewis.
I like
Max Griffin from
okay.
yesterday's episode. Yes, listen to that one. Griffin's at plus 250, Lewis plus 210. And we just told you why we like Lewis. Because he's Derrick Lewis. He just gets up and he hits hard.
And he's up against the unproven dude.
Yep.
And then for my prop of the week, I'm gonna go spread again. I know I'm being a little too heavy on those this week, but I'm gonna go with the spread on Lauren Murphy. I'm gonna take Lauren Murphy plus 3.5. I did like her money line yesterday when we talked about it. And yeah, I still like her money line. I still think it's worth a dabble. But if you get her plus 3.5, then you get, you know, maybe Mora does out grapple her for 2 rounds, but like she steals one because she's crafty and a veteran and tough as hell. if she manages to just steal one round, you can get plus 150 on that. And I think that's definitely worth the play. So give me Lauren Murphy plus 3.5.
Excellent. I couldn't find a line for my prop anywhere. I'm taking Junior Tafa via TKO/knockout over Tuco Tokkos. Do you see that anywhere, Gumby?
Tafa KO. Let me dig for a second.
Win, and that's the only way he wins. There you go.
I'm gonna look for that in a second, but
Okay.
in the meantime, you can cue me up for what's gonna come
Hungry
next.
Man Jong, super fan,
Parlay.
either parlay or round robin. What are we playing today?
Yeah, we're gonna go parlay. I think the major reason here for me is that like there's a lot of lines I don't like here, and if we're gonna put together a 2-prop parlay, like I mean, you could probably just play 2 money lines and get me to 10-1, right? It's like I could take the Lauren Murphy money line and the Derrick Lewis money line. There it is. That's 10-1. And to be honest, I don't hate that. So if we're gonna put props together, the props are just not juicy enough that I can go 4 lines or 5 lines on that and go around robin. So we're gonna stick with just a parlay. So the first line of that parlay I like. I'm gonna take Steve Garcia by knockout. Look, he's won 5 in a row by knockout. I know Calvin Kattar's tough, but that's why this line is elevated too, right? The elevated line is all the way up at plus 220. For a guy who's got 5 straight knockouts, it happens to be a favorite in this fight. So you're getting a good line there. So I'm going to pair Steve Garcia going for a record-breaking knockout. I'm going to pair that with Fatima Klein's submission line. I know she's only got 1 submission in her career, but I also know that, you know, she's been really, really, really good on the ground in her, like, you know, submission grappling career. That one's coming in right now at plus 250. So when you pair those two together, you're going to get plus 1020, and that's a 10-1. And I did a little digging while I was talking, rather. The intern's a busy one. Junior Tafa's knockout line, negative 120.
I wanted it better, but that's fine. I'll take it. Okay. I'm going to have to talk to you off air. Where are you getting these lines? Because I couldn't find it in any of the books I checked. All right.
I find stuff.
Garcia knockout, Klein submission is Hungry Man Jong. Super fan parlay plus 1020. And you are set for the UFC Nashville. We're chatting about it in the Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. You can hit us up on YouTube, MMA Gambling Podcast. Subscribe, please and thanks. Twitter, SGPN MMA. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer there and on Instagram. Now we told you who's going to win and how. Enter my free UFC Pick'em contest and win prizes at moneymma.substack.com. Listen to Top Turtle Podcast, Gumby's other podcast. He talks to the Meme Machine, Steve Garcia, and he talks to Austen Lane, right? Good interviews. Check it out. And we can be found at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Guess we're gone till Sunday. Do we have some good regional next week? I haven't looked at this schedule.
Yeah, we've almost got too much. I'm trying to find a way to navigate through, but I believe PFL Africa starts next week, which has got a pretty loaded top card that we'll be going through. We got KSW, we got Fury, we got CFFC. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to get all of those to you, but we'll find something to get you.
All right. Bid the people farewell till then.
All right. I'm Gumby Vreeland. He's Jeff the Big Ick Fox, and we'll see you on Sunday.